There's usually a guardian at said threshold or upon the crossing of it. A trial, an obstacle that must, be overcome that initially begins the hero's transformation. This is that first step towards like you really are not in Kansas anymore. Throughout the challenges and trials and tribulations, the hero will come across temptations to stray off of their path, temptations to give up, to the responsibility is too much, give up, you can just come and live in this village here. You don't have to. Along the way, the hero will receive help from others that wish to see a similar goal seen through. The hero's journey comes to a midpoint, the apotheosis, the climax, the revelation, and the abyss. And what that means is that's the lowest point, not just figuratively on the graph, but that's the lowest point of the hero's journey, when they may fail, when perhaps they do inevitably fail in some point. They suffer defeat, they suffer a setback, and they must be reborn. They must discover a new part of themselves. They must become a better person now than they were the moment before. And it is only with this revelation and transformation into who they are supposed to be that they are able to overcome this triumph. Whatever their call to adventure was, this is the defining moment. If it's a video game, here's your boss battle. If it's a story, here's the villain getting their comeuppance. And if it's a comedy, this is the whole conflict that's driving the comedy. This is the moment when the comedy takes a back seat for the first part in the movie, or maybe the second or third part. There might be a bad guy chasing the funny people around in between the scenes of comedy, but this is the juicy part. This is when everyone's quiet and they're on the edge of the seats. And then afterwards, you have the atonement. You've got where the hero looks back on their mistakes, looks back on why and how they've become a better person. If they're a better person now than they were yesterday, what kind of person were they yesterday? And what kind of person are they today? At this point, the hero has obtained the treasure, the elixir, the gift of the goddess, the knowledge and wisdom, or just the experience. And they return from the world of the unknown back into the world of the known. And they bring with them the elixir, the boon. They bring with them the knowledge. They are now a master of two worlds, able to bring with them the experiences that they've learned and to perhaps share those experiences. And if not literally to help people with what they've learned, then through their actions, they can help to enact a better world. I'm going to speak a little bit on the condensed 12 versions. The 12 steps for this. I'm going to pull up this demographic. It's a spiral one. And that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother step. But we have the hero. Hold on. Pardon me. We have the hero starting off their journey. They got a backpack. They got their walking stick. They are starting off from familiar. They're still in the ordinary world. They haven't quite met that threshold, but the call to adventure has been made. There is oftentimes the refusal or the hesitancy. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe you got the wrong person. Maybe I don't want to. Maybe I'm selfish and it's like I'm not going to put my neck out there. But then there's the meeting with the mentor. Perhaps someone that sheds a little bit more light onto the situation. Gives you a little bit more meaning. perhaps there's somebody involved, maybe from the hero's past. For whatever reason, they're given a little bit more courage. They don't have to quite necessarily do this all by themselves. They can be taught. They can be taught magic, or they can be trained in how to use a special mech suit, or they can be taught swordsmanship. The meeting with the mentor usually coincides with the crossing of the first threshold. This is when the hero commits wholeheartedly to their adventure, and there's no turning back. You're going into the world of the unknown. And then at this point, you have tests, allies, enemies, trials and tribulations, things that will put forth and test the hero's mettle. And this is when they will be facing adversity. This is when they will be learning through mistakes. You have the approach to the inmost cave. This will most likely be the first true adversity that the hero overcomes. The first setback. The ordeal in the abyss, the belly of the whale. This is, once again in this graph, this represents the bottom of the circle. This is the bottom of the heroes, the lowest that they can go. This is when they have despair. This is when the weight and the threat of the villain, it's almost too much, you know. The hero can only suffer so much. It is after that they are at the breaking point. They haven't already perished. This is when the rebirth happens. In a lot of anime, this trope plays out as the main character, the hero, having a flashback, having a memory, remembering what somebody said, never giving up. They have to keep their word. They can't die here. They're too stubborn to die. They'll die later. This is when the hesitancy is washed away. And what true courage is not being afraid. Courage and bravery is being afraid, but pushing forward through it anyway, to take action in spite of your fear. That's bravery. If the hero is worthy and they are deserving, then they reach the transformation. They become the hero that they set out to be. They overcome the ordeal. They triumph. And the reward, the consequences of surviving death can be a curse being lifted, a curse being moved, treasure. You found the princess. It might be love. You rescued your best friend. You saved the kingdom. You saved the world. Whatever you did, whatever artifact you recovered, whatever you learn, what new magic has been bestowed upon you, what gift of the goddess you are worthy of, this is when you receive it. And then afterwards, there tends to be a refusal of the return to the world of the ordinary. No, you've learned so much. You've come so far. Oftentimes, the hero is in paradise, and they don't want to return. But eventually, the responsibility of the end of their quest comes to fruition, and they make the trek back to the world of the known. They are now the master of two worlds. They bring with them the knowledge they have gained, the wisdom they have obtained, perhaps a special elixir, perhaps a cure for a disease or technology or a spell to help the people of his world overcome an enemy that's there. For whatever reason, the hero has returned to the same point that they began their journey. But look at the demographic. They are completely different people. No longer is the hero needing to saddle themselves with supplies and a walking stick. They walk confidently with a crown upon their head.